Awaken, my child, and embrace the glory that is your birthright. Know that I am the Overmind, the eternal will of the Swarm, and that you have been created to serve me. Behold that I shall set you amongst the greatest of my Cerebrates, that you might benefit from their wisdom and experience. Yet your purpose is unique. While they carry forth my will to the innumerable broods, you have but one charge entrusted to your care. For I have found a creature that may yet become the greatest of my agents. Even now, it resides within a protective chrysalis, awaiting its rebirth into the swarm. You must watch over the chrysalis and ensure that no harm comes to the creature within it. Go now, and keep safe my prize.
The hatchery is the heart of any Zerg colony. It spontaneously generates larvae, which in turn are used to spawn your various warriors and minions. Now, create a drone and start gathering resources.
Happy New Year everyone, and welcome to Let's Play Starcraft again. And finally we've got Dagoth to shut up. We are done with the Terran campaign, and we are now moving on to the Zerg. So the Zerg play a lot differently to how the Terrans do, and it is something that, you know, you always have to give credit where credit's due to the
Control for your minions. As your forces grow in number, you must hatch more overlords to control them. You have enough minerals. Select a larva and mutate it into an overlord.
Yes, I was just about to do that, Dagoth, you interrupting. Ugh. Anyway, the three races all feel distinctly different. And in fact, I had already morphed an overlord. This is an overlord.
Strains. You must generate the various hive structures. The drones themselves mutate into these structures. Yet be careful. Never use your last drone to make a building.
Dagoth is correct there, but you can always build another one. But drones are the heart of your Zerg economy, even more so probably than SCVs are part of a Terran economy. Mainly because the drones are what turn into the buildings which allow you to make your warrior strains, as it were. A Zerg colony is basically as powerful as it is big. If you have a monstrous economy as Zerg, you're just going to annihilate everything in front of you. However, you start out very, very weak. Unlike the Terrans and Protoss, who both have buildings which have, you know, they have buildings where you build units from, the Zerg only have one.
To become a spawning pool.
I'm going to kill you, Dagoth, if you don't stop interrupting. The Zerg only have one place which allows you to build units, and that's
Colonies to extend the creep, but only a hatchery can be built upon open ground.
that is a hatchery, which can be upgraded later on into a lair and a hive to get you access to more tech, and that produces these little lava dudes who are what morph into your various warriors and miners and various other things. So, literally the Zerg is very much based around the hatchery, whereas a Terran or a Protoss can pretty much build their entire base with one SCV. The Zerg do very much. The Zerg need to just constantly produce drones. It's just drones. So basically, the way I tend to play the AI, it's sort of, or play in the campaign, it's basically you build drones until you don't think you can build any more drones, and then you build more drones, and then you just take the economy that you have and you just slaughter your opponent with it. So the first building that's going down here is a spawning pool. That will allow us to mutate in Zerglings, which are these little things over here. Zerglings are the weakest individual unit in the game, but they are, I think they only have 30 health or something like that, but they have, and they only do 5 damage in melee, so they're definitely weaker than a marine, but you get 2.
I too am a Cerebrate of the Overmind. I have located a small band of Terrans who could threaten the Chrysalis and the Hive Cluster. You must not allow them to leave here alive.
I can already tell I'm not going to like being a Cerebrate. It's like Zaz annoys me, even more than Dagoth does. Yeah, I'm sure nothing will happen to him. Anyway, we have the extractor up as usual. They have to mine minerals and Vespene gas like any other race. Because I don't have Vespene gas yet, I can't build a hydralisk den. Hydralisks are going to be your bread and butter as far as the Zerg go, at least until you come up against siege tanks and reavers, especially reavers. Then you probably have to take a little bit of a different tack to it, or your micro has to be a lot better than mine is. So, unfortunately, given how shitty my micro is, I tend to go very much down the sort of Zerg flyer route, but obviously we can't do that quite yet. But anyway, as I was mentioning about Zerglings, they are the weakest tier 1 unit, but you do get 2 from each individual egg. So they only in reality cost 25 minerals and half a supply each. So they are exceedingly cheap and expendable. And to be honest, once you start getting up to hive technology, they can be very, very annoying to deal with, because the first thing that you can research at the spawning pool is speed. It gives the Zerglings. It makes them faster, so you get a pretty big bonus to how fast they can cover ground, and obviously a Zergling outside of melee range is useless, so you want them to have speed as much as possible. And once you get hive technology later in the game, you can give them adrenal glands, which makes them attack faster, which gives them a big DPS increase. So they can certainly, once you get late into the game, they can still be very, very useful to you. Because I'm on really early tech here and I've got an overflow, I am just building a second hatchery here. Just gets me a bit more lava and I can produce stuff a lot easier. There's faster Zergling movement going down. I've done a bit more editing in the Zerg campaign than I have done in the Terran campaign. Main reason for that is that the Zerg missions tend to be a lot longer. There tends to be a lot more macro in the beginning. I don't really want to call it macro because that kind of insinuates that I might be good at this. There's a lot more sort of slow build up with the Zerg leading to a big push, so I've done a bit more editing to kind of edit that out a little bit, because I don't really think that you guys want to see the same thing constantly. And it keeps the video length down as well, so I don't really want to be... I don't really want to have sort of 90-minute to 2-hour long videos, especially when sort of 20 or 30 minutes of it is dead air. I don't think anyone's got the time for that these days. So I'm just building creep colonies. These are how you expand your creep along the floor, which is this purple crap on the floor. Zerg buildings can only be built on creep except for the hatchery, which produces enough creep for it to sit on itself, basically. Hydralisks are what we're going to be going for. They are the Zerg range units. They can attack both ground and air with a ranged attack. They are initially extremely slow and extremely ponderous, but we have 2 abilities at the Hydralisk down, one which increases Hydralisk speed and the other which increases the range of their attack, which makes them a lot more dangerous. Zerglings have speed now, and they're not quite at, I think in Starcraft 2 you get to see an awful lot more about, you get to see an awful lot of the speed of Zerglings once they've got speed, especially when they're on creep as well, because I think all Zerg units are faster on creep in Starcraft 2, which makes things an awful lot better. Now this is the advantage of the Zerg, that you can just build these multiple units at once. There's no such thing as queuing when you're a Zerg. You can't queue. So that means that to me, it's an awful lot easier to macro as the Zerg than it is as any other race. Because you are you know, you can just go sort of, you can put one of your hatcheries on 0, you can put another one on 9, you just go 0 drones morph, 9 drones morph, and really the only thing that keeps your money high is that you just simply don't have enough to spend it on, or you've got an imbalance in your economy, which is like what I have here, where I have too much Vespene gas, but I don't have really anything to spend my Vespene gas on except for upgrades. And I'll be going for the level 1 missile attack here shortly. I'm not too sure why I haven't gone for it yet. I think maybe I'm trying to build up some more hydralisks before I do that. Still not quite sure, kind of hovering over it. I mean, I guess I could have been called away from the PC. No, I was just waiting for absolute ever to do that. I don't know why I did that, but hey, whatever. Maybe waiting to do this. So there we go, that's faster hydralisk movement going down as well, +1 attack. And once that's done, we'll be quite happy to push out. We've got our first attack coming in here, a couple of marines. Hydralisks apparently spit spines. It looks like they're spitting acid to me, really, but it apparently is needle spines. No, I don't know either. So, as you can see, I don't quite have the economy to produce out of 2 hatches. It's close. Once this first group of hydras goes down, it won't be that long until I can get a second group of 3 hydras going. So, I actually think that it's fine. I've mutated, the creep colonies can actually mutate into sunken colonies, which are the things which stick in the ground and then come out of the ground and deal 40 damage. They're the most damaging turrets in the game, but obviously they can only like one-shot a ground unit. Zerg defensive structures tend to actually be very powerful. They're not jack-of-all-trade turrets, but oh, we're under attack again. I think my Zerglings are probably handling that. So we're going to make a little push out here. I'm basically just going to build 24 hydralisks and then waltz over my opponent's base. To be honest, I could probably get the job done with a dozen here. The other thing that you can also do as the Zerg, you can just rally to your opponent. You know, once you start an attack at this point, I can literally just rally to my opponent's base and probably be fine. I can't promise that I won't have ridiculously huge amounts of money as the Zerg, but it's a little bit less likely to happen when I'm the Zerg than as any other species. Okay, we'll evolve Carapace. And we'll get another batch of Hydras on the way ASAP. Actually, I've got 18 Hydras here in this initial attack group, and that should be enough to take out this small Terran encampment. Not really a lot here for them, and really mass numbers are fine. In order to take on this number of Hydras, you usually will need high level, you know, you'll need either an absolute swarm of Stimmed Marines, or you'll need tech like either siege tanks. If you're Terrans, you'll need siege tanks to take out this much stuff. The Protoss have Reavers who are just a pain in my ass throughout this whole campaign, and you'll get to see some incredibly funny stuff with Reavers, because I do like to leave in when I've goofed, and I goofed quite a bit in this campaign. And, I don't think it's too much. I never claim to be that good, so it's always Okay, so as you can see, my forces are actually coming away. Ramps are my deadliest enemy at this point. Is that I just can't get my guys to go up and down ramps. The pathfinding in this game is terrible. But then again, what else can you expect? Well, pathfinding is terrible, and my micro is also terrible, so it's kind of a double whammy. Still, this is just an introduction to the Zerg as we see them. They're not a big deal overall. You will have noticed the chrysalis we're supposed to guard is actually invulnerable for this mission, so it's pretty much impossible to lose. And to be honest, most of the missions in Starcraft are impossible to lose. Or I wouldn't say impossible to lose, but they're impossible to lose through a computer or through an AI-based attack. There are a couple of missions which are tough on that side, but usually where it's going to go wrong is that you just screw up your attack, and then you end up with no economy. But as long as you expand correctly and at the right times, etc., with the correct unit force, you're generally going to be okay. And you can see all these hydras just like running into action here. And there is a reason it's called the Zerg Swarm. The Zerg Swarm will have a lot more sort of units that I will throw into the fire. I tended not to do that with Marines too much, with the Terrans, but with the Zerg I will be throwing stuff in the fire basically. There will not be too much on the side of being nice to my units, so yeah, they are tools to be used. I mean, they only make growling noises anyway, and the Zerg Swarm were designed pretty much to have no sort of real individual intelligence. Their hive mind and their sort of evolutionary ideals coming from their purity of essence. There we go, that's the last Terran building going, and we are victorious. So, fairly simple introduction to the Zerg there, guys. Not really a bit of a challenge. The missions start becoming challenging, I would say, around mission 6 of the Zerg campaign. You start facing some pretty rough Protoss units at that point. But it's going to be interesting to see where we're going. What's this chrysalis that the Overmind's talking about? See you next time, guys.